Hello chess friends, I'm Aman Agarwal and welcome back to Master Chess. Today I'm going to show you a brilliant chess game played between Sigbert Teresh and Alice. The meaning is that two or more players would form a team and Sigbert Teresh would face them alone. The reason behind selecting this game is that the last move played in the game by Sigbert Teresh was simply f-sum. So let's start the game. Sigbert Teresh is playing with the white pieces and opens with the move 1 f4. d5, knight to f3 and c5, e3, knight to c6, and in this position, many players prefer to go for the move d4 and walk into the stone wall structure, but Sigbert Teresh instead prefers bishop to b5. Bishop to d7 is played breaking the pin on the black knight, and now just simply short castles. e6 is played, and now b3. As you can see, he is trying to fianchetto this bishop on this long diagonal. Queen to c7 is played. Now the idea of queen c7 being that black somewhere in the game wants to play bishop to d6 and attack down white's king side and wants to long castle him. Bishop to b2 is played and now f6. The reason behind f6 is that whenever black wants to play bishop to d6 and this bishop is fianchettoed, you always have to keep an eye on the g7 square. Therefore f6. c4 is played and now just knight c to e7, offering a trade of the bishops. Knight to c3 is played, defending the bishop with the knight, and now knight to h6, developing the knight. Black is developing the knight, but he also may have ideas of knight to f7 and want to go for the e5 break. Rook to c1 is played, keeping the rook on the file of the queen, and also may have ideas that whenever black long castles, his king would be on the file of the white rook. Bishop takes on b5, and now just knight captures on b5. Queen to d7 is played, and now just queen to e2. Knight to c6 is played, c captures on d5, e captures on d5 and e4. The idea behind capturing the d5 pawn is revealed. And here black has three options. Let's explore all one by one. First option, that black may want to take the pawn on e4, which is not that bad because then white can just capture the pawn, and once black plays a move like queen to e7, white can just go queen to d5 and stop black from long castling, and also has threats like rook to e1. Second option is that after e4, black may want to close the lines with d4, but this would turn out to be a very bad move because of e5, and after long castles, just e6 or even knight captures on d4 is winning for white. Therefore, in the game, after e4, black long castled. e5 was played, a6, kicking away the knight from a good square, and now just knight to c3 back. And now b5 is played in the game. The reason behind b5 is that black wants to stop the white knight coming to a4, because once it comes to a4, the c5 pawn couldn't be protected. Let me show you a variation. If black decides to play a simple move like knight to g4, then just knight to a4 and nobody can stop white from winning here, because the c5 pawn is attacked, knight to b6 is incoming, and you will lose the king and you will lose the queen here. Therefore, in the game, b5 was played. And here, although black has managed to stop the knight coming to a4, but he has pushed all his pawns of the queen side and has castled the long side. Therefore, troubles are arising for him after white starts to attack, and that's what we will see in the game. a4 is played, trying to open up the lines against the black king. If you capture the pawn, you're going to just lose a6 and it's going to be simply losing for you. Therefore, in the game, b4 is played and now knight to d1 back. King to b7. The idea is that black is sacrificing the f6 pawn just to open up the g5 for his rook. This idea is never a wrong one, but and sacrifice can never be based only on intuition. At least a little bit of calculation is needed to see that really is the attack coming or not. E captures on f6, g captures on f6, and just bishop captures on f6. Here it may seem like black is losing an exchange, but he is not, because he plays the first things first with rook to e8, and the queen is attacked. Therefore, white had to play knight to e3, and only after that rook to g8. Queen to d3 is played with an idea that black may later want to go for d4. If white didn't move the queen, he would go for d4 and this knight would be lost. Therefore, queen to d3 is played, and now just knight to g4, attacking the bishop. Knight captures on g4, queen captures on g4. and now there is a mate threat on g2. White simply defends it with rook to f2 and now queen to d7 back. The idea of queen to d7 is that if white gets queen captures on h7 when the black queen is on g4, then white will be simply winning. Just to show you a line, here if black plays a move like a5 here, then just queen captures on a7 and black would be simply losing, because whenever we give check on a7, black would always have to keep defense of this rook because his rooks are not connected. And just to show you, if he plays a move like king to a8, then queen to f7 and white would have a brilliant attack. Therefore, in the game, he played queen to d7, after rook to f2 he played queen to d7 back, and now just knight to e5 asking for a trade of knights. Black accepts it with knight captures on e5, bishop captures on e5, and now just rook to c8. Queen to f3 is played, keeping the queen on the diagonal of the king. King to b6, freeing himself from the diagonal, and d3. Now d3 is a very brilliant move. It may seem that white is trying to put support on the c4 square, but that's not the idea. The idea is playing rook to c2 and activating this rook from the c file. Bishop to h6 is played, and now just rook f to c2. d4, a5 with check. Now this is a very good move, because because it's clear that since Siegbert has sacrificed the pawn intentionally, there is no use taking it. Let me show you the reason behind why you can't take it. If you play king captures on a5, just rook captures on c5, rook captures on c5, and after rook captures on c5 check, you will have to play king to b6, and after that rook to c7, and you would have to give up the queen. The reason being that if you don't give up the queen and try to be extra greedy with a move like queen to e6, then just queen to g7 check, and it's gonna be game over in 2 moves. Therefore, this was not what was played in the game. In the game, after a5 check, you have another option with king to a7, but that simply loses to rook captures on c5, rook captures on c5, and rook captures on c5, and white has an overwhelming attack on the black king. But what was played in the game was even worse, and which allowed the greatest move in chess history to be ever played, was king to b5. Now this move is a very bad move because it gives up control of the b7 square. Guys, pause the video and think what's the best move for white in this position which was played in the game. Yes, if you found the move bishop to c7, you can consider yourself to be the one of the best players in the history. Just joking. In the game, bishop to c7 was played, and now this is a very brilliant move because you can capture the bishop with the rook, you can capture the bishop with the queen, but none of them works. Before understanding why you can't capture it, let's understand the reason behind playing this move. The idea is that either we want to play queen to b7 check and either rook captures on c5 check. Before, if we played the move rook captures on c5 check, the rook would capture, and to queen to b7 check, the queen would capture. Therefore, what does bishop to c7 do is that it forces black to give up control of either of the squares. Let's first consider the option of taking with the queen. If you take with the queen, just rook captures on c5, queen captures on c5, and now just queen to b7 check. Of course, you don't want to block here because that would be just mate, and if you capture this pawn, rook to a1 is gonna be a checkmate in 1 move. Now, let's see what happens to rook captures on c7. Pause the video and think. Here in this position, white has another brilliant move with queen to b7 check, sacrificing the queen. Black has to capture it, and rook captures on c5 is gonna be a checkmate in 1 move. So friends, in this position, after bishop to c7 was played, Alice resigned the game, and Siegbert Teres registered one of the best victories in the history of chess. So friends, I hope you liked this game, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to Master Chess and do drop your comments in the comment section below. Thank you.